On July 5th, 2026, at LA Anime Expo, it has been announced that RWBY Volume 10 is officially greenlit, and I don't know what to say, because I'm scared. RWBY is a show I always wanted to be as good as it could, and there was a potential for greatness. But now, 13 years into the show's existence, after 9 volumes, 3 ownerships, and its creator's tragic death, I can't see bright future going forward. What I will say now are my gripes with the show, big and small, because I want to put them to grave and go forward. They are part of my life, but I want to be positive. So let's say what lies on my stomach and go forward with fresh mindset. First is Fumblement of White Fang's plotline of racism that shows that you can either sit and do nothing or be an extremist terrorizing other people. Because there are never people who actually try to change the system itself. If you're oppressed, you can only be a terrorist or do nothing. In the same vein, I hope we won't get a migration plotline, because from animatics we have seen a few years back, that would be one of the most incompetently made plotlines I ever saw. Second is the smallest of things, but I want to get it out of the way, because it caused some writing issues for me, and it's relationships. So starting with John and Pyra, it makes sense as her death is a force that drives John forward, but first, it's a dead lover trope. Also, it makes John feel detached from the rest of his team. He barely talks to Ren on like friendly basis, not important basis, and to Nora I actually can't remember a single time, like just chit-chatting. And it's really bad because there are shows I haven't watched in a long time and I still do remember some, like, even the smallest forms of interaction between two odd characters. Here, no, I can't remember anything, so let this speak for itself. Next is Bumblebee's problem. So first and foremost, written in big, bold letters, I don't have any problem with LGBTQ plus moments in shows. I can enjoy them a lot if they are well executed, but this was not. It was supposed to be a slow burner, as some people may say to you, but that's not true, because to slow burn something, you need to have an oven. And they definitely did not have the oven. The relationship just pops up because they saw the potential at merge and getting LGBTQ plus community to get into the show. And you know, I wouldn't have a single problem with it, if not for the fact that to make it happen, writers sacrificed Yang's and Ruby's sisterly relationship. They barely talk to each other. And when they do it in such filled with resentment way. In Volume 9, Yang is so pissed that RWBY is also in Ever After. She's not happy that she's alive, she's so like mad. Like you can just hear just this anguish that, oh no, you're alive. Oh, that's so bad. And later, when RWBY has her emotional breakdown, her sister isn't trying to comfort her at all. No, she has to protect her dear cat. By the way, I don't remember Blake and RWBY talking to each other on like personal level ever since I think Volume 3. And if Yang x Blake would go further, Blake and RWBY would be sisters-in-law for crying out loud. Oh, and a little gripe I want to put as a dessert, which is a carcinogenic cake of this relationship. Blake and Yang are not gay. They are, well, Blake is most probably bi, and Yang is probably pan. But people just wanna stick the pin and say no, they are just gay. And this is a community. This problem coming from community, but I just feel sad that like, no, it's definitely no way they are at least bi, despite the fact that there was a lot of messages that they are. Thankfully, in terms of developing relationships, I can't say anything bad about Ren x Nora. Thankfully, this one isn't botched. Imagine if any more male relationships would be, oh yeah. So, Crow and Clover, that were just retconned that they are not together. despite the fact that there were messages that they are. Creators said no they are not, because they were afraid of bury your gays trope. Oh, you're afraid of this trope when a dead lover trope is something okay. This isn't a problem with writing, but just with creators, that they decided that yes, like, we can have supposed representation and yet a gay one is something that they denied. It's not a big problem for someone, but for me it's just a bit sad to just take something that was obvious and yet try to swipe it under the rug. Third are our main characters themselves. Team RWBY are not good, and nothing presents it better than the last 3 volumes, where only thing they did was plowing through their surroundings like a steamroller driven by a drunken pole. Our MCs led to the fall of Atlas, were very much responsible for Ironwood's descent into madness, and were at bigger odds with each other than the main villains. Our main characters 89% of time aren't even important to plot, but you know who is? Their families or their friends. You know who was proactive and tried their best to keep peace in the world? Ironwood. Meanwhile, what our heroes did? Destroyed capital of a country. Dropped people of the said country in a fucking desert filled with monsters. And made world aware of the fact that monsters for centuries that were considered being just a mindless beast actually do have a master behind them, and it's an eldritch, evil, powerful wizardress, instituting even more fear in the world. Great main characters. And from what we saw in the animatic for Volume 10 that was shown a few years later, despite that, they wanted to write RWBY as some kind of savior figure, despite the fact that she either haven't done anything of importance or even made the situation even worse. It's just so painful to see how it's just, but there is nothing of substance in our main characters. They are mean to each other. Family! Two people in the same family are mean to each other. Yes, this happens. But they are just constantly mean to each other. That's... I can't talk anymore. That's just painful to think. Fourth is focusing on side characters. As I already said, our MCs aren't important because we are bombarded with side characters that have to do something. So we focus a bit on the ASAPs and happy huntresses. Then we take our smallest glimpses into minds of Salem's team. And before you notice, those side characters had more to do in terms of plot importance than Team RWBY. You will also notice that what they've got was the bear's bones, and yet it was all for nothing because Penny's dead yet again. ASAPs are unimportant to finale of their own season they were introducing. What? Dead. Without ever meeting Team RWBY. I'm saying this again because I'm so mad about this. Ironwood, also dead. Hazel, dead. Robin, useless. All of this development for nothing. I don't know, in Disney's Treasure Planet, instead of focusing on relationship between Jim and Silver, we would focus on side characters and yet still have nothing out of it. And that's how most of RWBY's storytelling feels like. Fifth is canonicity outside material. So, do you know how people don't like that in Hellverse? A lot of knowledge is from writer interviews or streams from years back. Well, that's kinda how RWBY has its lore. You have things like Justice League crossovers, books, games. Are they canon? Are they not? Who knows? And if parts of it will be in Volume 10, not only I, who haven't read, played, or watched that, but also probably a lot of other people will be screwed over, especially because those things definitely won't be addressed in the volume, which means that if something from those media will be brought over, it won't be explained and people will be just lost. Also, why is something lore important outside of the show? That show ran for 10 years And in those 10 years, there were seasons that had a lot of episodes that didn't need to be there, and instead of that dog shit we had, it could have been the place to address those things, to introduce those ideas. But no, outside material, because I don't know why. Or maybe they were coming up with those things on the spot. If yes, then I'm scared, because this kind of stuff, well, shows overall, I think, should be planned a bit ahead. Maybe not full story, but at least bullet points with plot important characters. But if plot important characters are just embedded into bullet points, then, well, I don't have high hopes.
Sixth is budget wasting, so I checked, and it seems that creation of RWBY costed for one episode from $3,500,000 to $4,900,000. Meanwhile, RWBY Chibi costed around $35,000 at worst, and yes, it is much less, but when you add up all the episodes, it starts to be quite a big number. And finally, a really funny fact, there is a game on Nintendo Switch, and I couldn't find like exact cost, but checking the insider leaks, industry standard, and like just overall estimations, creating a game can cost about $2 million. Also, in terms of budget wasting, we have manga, we have anime, we have books. Also, there was fairy tales and RWBY Beyond, and I hope you see my point. It's a lot of money that could have went into the show either to make the models look better or to make the action look a bit more realistic. Maybe not realistic. Be more expressive, more faster in terms of fights, but not to ridiculous degree. Everything could have been more balanced, but no, we had that, and I just think it's a bit of a waste of money. This part is the most insulting thing I ever had on. I wanted to say opportunity, this is a really bad word. I had this opportunity to talk about. And now it's time for a trigger warning because what I will be talking about is a really hard topic. It's a very sad subject to talk about, and before I say anything, I just want for everyone who's listening to know that you are not alone. It might it might seem like it's like that now. There's a possibility someone who's listening is going through a tough time. But please remember, after the all the storms, there always is the sunshine, and I beg you, if you have to talk to someone, it never hurts, and it might help. Alright, so with this out of the way, at the end of the volume 8, the character Penny, who just got turned into real human after being robot, after being brought back to life from being dead for a few volumes. In the climactic battle, she got injured by Salem, and when John offered her to heal her, she said no. Despite the fact that previously, in Volume 5, when Wise got impaled through her gut, which is obviously a lethal blow, John managed to save her no problem, and how it looked in Penny's case, it looked way less lethal. And yes, and yet she asked John to kill her with no reason. And despite the fact, as I said, he just got brought back to life in volume 7. And it was only because of plot convenience, so the powers you've got could have been given to other character. That was very bad and in my opinion just pointless. But next example, I don't even have words for it. Like, probably I could say that it's just disgusting, but to be honest, just thinking about talking about it makes my stomach just everything in my stomach to just boil, my blood to boil. I feel iffy about it, but so in volume 9, Ruby as a character is the only person of from her friend group who, when presented with the idea of going back to her previous life, she did. She's just disappointed with herself. She's crushed by everything that happened so far, and she has no one to talk about it. When at her lowest, and when facing off, Neo, a little mice she was taking care of, got killed, tipping Ruby over the edge, as that have proven to her that she can't even keep a little mice alive. So when she was giving a magic tea that, according to rules of the world she was in, could turn you into something better, the better version of yourself, she decided to drink it. Just as her closest friends and family walked into the room, she started drinking a tea, effect of which is basically dying to be reborn. In other words, Ruby decided that she wants to stop living and start over, because she had no one to talk to her, to just ensure her that it's bad but it will be better. Something that is real and sad. And yet in writing, well, after talking to some kind of god, she returns with her happy-go-lucky attitude, like nothing ever happened. That is, in my opinion, really bad message. Basically, I feel like it says, don't face your emotions, don't think about anything you're doing. It's definitely perfect. It's you only imagine that it's bad, that what you're doing is bad, and that rather than improving, you just have to say, nah, it's good, and it will be good. And personally, that is something that made me give up. For me, it's just bad. I could use some more emotional words, but just like that whole thing presented, nothing I would say would matter, right? Because nothing matters. So why should I even try? 8. The future. So I just rent that show to the ground, but despite the fact that almost every watcher gave up, that the very story itself gave up, I want to have hope, because if we as humans lost hope, then what is there? I truly wish Volume 10 the best of luck, and that one day I will be able to post a video called RWBY Volume 10 is actually good. But that is just hope. So please keep hope, and remember, life is beautiful, and it matters. Thanks for watching, and see you next time when it's bring you back here. This.